What's up, everybody? I'm Jesse Ziegler.
And I'm Quinn Cody.
And this is the 2025 Dakar Rally Daily Show, brought to you by Climb.
It's hard to believe. This is our 5th year doing this craziness.
That's a long time to be talking about one race, dude.
Yeah, well, it's a new race every year.
It's a new race every day.
Yeah,
this race is epic. It's not gotten less epic ever. And this year, it's going to be epic again.
And I think now, to this point, this will be our 85th Dakar Rally Daily show.
Yeah, 85th podcast show. And then our second year on YouTube, thanks to cameras and the internet. You can see our faces, not just hear our stupid voices. You can see our stupid faces.
Yeah, and we are back. It's a little bit late this year. Race starts tomorrow, so we're doing our pre-show today. But, you know.
It's never too late to start the Dakar Rally race. It's holidays. Did you have a nice holidays, first of all?
I didn't have the best holiday. I was sick for the last 2 weeks, and so kind of put a damper on our pre-show plans.
Yeah, I would blame that on you, but I haven't done anything either productive in like the last 10 days. See, you're still sick. He's coughing in the background over there. Don't infect me. I can't afford to lose my voice.
Yeah, as soon as I start talking about it, it's like psychological. The cough comes out.
It is. So before you die, I'm going to get you on record who's going to win this year at Dakar Rally.
Someone's going to win.
Oh, that's great insight. Thank you. Are you okay?
I'm okay.
We're just going to do a lot of creative editing to edit out Quinn's cough attacks.
Yes. No.
So who's your favorite going in then? If you can't pick a winner, like who's your favorite going in?
I mean, you know, so much has changed from last year, right? We've lost a couple of key competitors that have moved on from motorcycles.
That's a good point. We could start talking about people that aren't competing right away, and obviously we got Toby Price and Sam Sunderland, right?
Yeah. So I mean, Toby and Sam, obviously, I think you would maybe be living under a rock if you didn't know that Toby Price is now not racing motorcycles anymore. KTM didn't renew his contract after the last Dakar, which was quite a shock to a lot of people, I think. And, it left a pretty big hole in the sport there. And I think, he really struggled to find a ride. Really his dream is for a long time has been to be in four wheels. And, he struggled, but he was able to put it together kind of at the last minute.
Yeah. Toby's a massive multitasker every year, putting in how many events on the calendar that he can stuff into his hectic schedule of racing just about everything. I mean, he's raced side-by-sides and trucks in the desert. He's raced Baja for 3 or 4 years straight now, and basically all the Baja events.
Yeah, I mean, he won the Baja 500 this year in trophy truck overall.
Yeah.
Which is it. Trophy trucks are not easy to drive, right? That requires a lot of seat time, and getting seat time in a trophy truck is not cheap.
It's expensive, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can go out and do that, with relative lack of experience, like he's clearly got some talent. He's been qualifying the trophy truck up front and usually winning qualifying by quite a large margin. And, so it's been fun to watch Toby transition to the four wheels.
He's using that motorcycle speed mentality and sort of aggression, I think, behind the wheel a little more than some of these car only guys that have. But anyway, he's racing Dakar in a truck with Sam as his co-driver, navigator.
Yes. So Sam Sunderland, this is the other one who retired after the Ruta 40 rally in Argentina this year. He's now got a couple kids, and he started having thoughts of, like, hey, this, I'm putting my life at risk every time I get on the motorcycle. And I think once that starts creeping into your head, then it's hard to continue to race at a competitive level. And, I think he waffled back and forth a little bit, but I think in the end, he made the right decision, right? Like, we're healthy. We got out of this thing. He's won a couple Dakars, and
pretty epic.
Time to move on.
Yeah. And good timing with the shrinkage of the KTM program going down to one team. It's probably pretty good timing for him to step away from that program anyway.
Yeah.
Not to say he wouldn't have a ride if he was still there, but, to be able to walk away healthy after being a champion a couple times and then have this opportunity to team up with your ex-teammate and to sit in the right-hand side of a truck with Toby Price is going to be not necessarily an easier task or a less frightening one, I imagine.
pretty cool for all of us motorcycle fans to see.
For sure.
And I don't know that this has been done in recent history where you have two top level motorcycle guys just retired. So we're racing Dakar last year on motorcycles, just retired. You have a driver and a navigator, both bike guys. This is pretty exciting stuff. So maybe we'll actually talk about the cars a little bit this year.
Now we have to talk about some cars. Thanks a lot, Toby and Sam. Now we got to talk about stupid four wheels.
Yeah.
What a waste of time. Four wheels are boring. Just kidding. Just kidding, everybody. I love four wheels. There's just too many things to talk about every day. I think the timing for this is cool. For A, they just raced last year, but B, like the route this year might really fall into the navigation skills of motorcycle people more than it is car people. Because as we've talked about in the past, a lot of times these stages, the bikes leave first, they lay down some tracks and they're sharing the same course for the most part. And sometimes the car guys don't have to do that much technical navigating leading out front. They follow some motorcycle tracks through the dunes and it makes it a little easier. This year, there's going to be a lot of deviations from the routes where, especially in the marathon stage, where the car route is completely different than the motorcycle route. So that's going to put these guys that have that lead out navigation experience, a step ahead, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is experience that car guys really never get. And these guys are fresh off the motorcycle. And the biggest thing I noticed, so I navigated for BJ Baldwin in 2014 in a Jeffries buggy, which was a kind of a one-off custom buggy, and the first thing I noticed is it's really easy to do in a car
because you're not worried about the going over the bars thing is bad.
No, I mean, you don't have to look down and gather, in a tenth of a second, you don't have to look down and gather all this information, translate it, and then figure out what to do.
And be controlling the machine at the same time.
Worry about hitting a rock at 80 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So when you're in the car, you're looking as a navigator, you're not even driving, like you're not really doing a lot. So
you're just giving information.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking 5 pages ahead. I was memorizing, a few notes ahead. I was looking for areas in the road book that might be difficult.
Right.
And, communicating all this stuff to the driver. And that's the most difficult part is taking what you see in the road book and explaining that to the driver.
Sure. That comes with its own challenges, I'm sure.
Being as they're both motorcycle guys, they're going to understand that language a lot clearer to where like I was a motorcycle guy trying to communicate to a car guy.
Yeah. Which is like different languages. You need a translator.
Different language. And they're used to hearing the information in a certain way and thinking about it in a certain way. So I think it's going to be really exciting. Cool to watch.
It's going to be cool to watch. I don't know if we've ever had a motorcycle guy jump in. I know that they've motorcycle people are racing cars for sure, but not that fast after jumping off a bike.
I mean, obviously Petter Hansel was the last one to really do it and dominate. Yeah. I mean, Petter Hansel has dominated for so many years now, and this is the first year that he's actually not been in a car at the Dakar.
Yeah, right. He's racing
for a very long time.
Yeah, he's not at Dakar, so no Peter Hansel this year.
Nope. So maybe Toby's taken over the Mr. Dakar.
We'll see. Nickname. We'll see. Up next, after we talk about who's not here, we got to talk about who is here and the shifting in teams and the top teams. So obviously Ricky, our boy, the American's defending champ, he's coming back in the Dakar Rally relatively healthy. I mean, he had a big injury that he got booted off on the bike and had a big leg injury. Talk about that. Tell me where you think he's at in reality, let alone what he says.
I mean, obviously Ricky's our defending champion. Unfortunately, he had an incident at the Morocco Rally where he stabbed his leg, broke his tibial plateau. This is an injury that I've personally done, and it's not an easy one to come.
This is the top of the lower leg where it kind of connects into the knee. You're basically like splitting out like a piece of wood.
Yeah, normally what happens is you land kind of straight-legged, like maybe your knee hyperextends a little bit, and the femur comes down and hits the top of the tibia. And
sounds horrible.
Splits the leg in 2 pieces
or more.
Yeah, or more. I've done it. I saw Ricky's X-rays. They weren't pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you from personal experience that like when I did it, the doctor they were requiring me 3 months non-weight bearing.
Oh,
and he's 2.5 months right now, and he's already riding the motorcycle and doing it. Maybe I didn't follow those instructions perfectly, and I was riding.
Yeah.
Probably about the same time, but
it wasn't comfortable probably.
It's not great. No. And you're okay if you're riding along, but if you stab it, if you have to like dab or take a hard hit to that, it will flare up. And I mean, cause all the cartilage is destroyed and there's still biological process going on there. It's right. Your body's trying to heal after 2.5 months. So he's going to have a tough go of it.
Mm-hmm. So, yep, that's challenging for him. We're going to hear from Ricky. We got a quote from him in a little bit. We're going to hear from, but the good thing about Ricky, he's got the Monster Energy, HRC factory Honda rally team behind him, which is really strong. Like it's a stacked team, probably the largest group of talent on one team at this year's race.
Yeah. And Ricky's a tough, strong guy. I mean, if anybody's going to do it, it's him. And I just don't see him going out and winning in a dominant fashion like he did last year, where he was the fastest guy. He was the best guy.
Yeah.
This year, he's going to have to play it smart. He's going to have to wait for other guys to make mistakes. He's really going to need to take a different approach.
Which it's probably smart, right?
Yep.
Yeah, his team is stacked. You got Ricky Brabec, fellow American Skylar House,
who's also not far off of a big injury.
Yeah, he also had a big get off in the Vegas to Reno.
Yep.
Or Barstow to Vegas.
Vegas to Reno
race. So, he had a big crash on the rally bike. Him and Ricky were teamed up trying to win that on the rally bike for HRC Honda. And Skylar had a big crash, high-speed crash. And lucky he didn't get much more hurt than he did.
It honestly was pretty ugly. When I first saw it, I thought that was it. Like he wasn't going to be at Dakar. And here he was, a month later riding the motorcycle around. So, I mean, the guy literally dislocated his ankle, poked the bone out through the skin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the thing's bleeding and through his boot and
brutal.
Just gnarly. But it shows what kind of warriors these guys are, because they're back at it.
Yeah. They're back at it for sure. Adrian Van Beveren, who finished really well last year on the podium, fourth?
Just off the podium.
Fourth place, yeah. Another Honda, big, strong guy that's going to be there every day, really fast in the dunes, pretty good navigator, great teammate. Then you have Pablo Quintanilla, who's won the World Rally Championship before and has been like just a solid, I think he's the oldest or has the most Dakar Rally currently in the field right now.
Yeah, I think he's maybe 12 Dakars or something
12
like
or 13, I think, is how many he has in, or he's going into his 12th or 13th one this year. Yeah.
So Pablo's always really solid. I mean, he's kind of the big veteran on that team. Mm-hmm. Him and Adrian, I think, in the past haven't been the fastest guys, but they've always been pretty solid and right there. So
which pays off in that second half of the race after the rest day when you just need to be there really and not have any of those big mistakes in the front. So two more strong people on the team. And then they got the speedy new guy, Tasha Sharina, who, man, talk about speed, but, that bit him late in the first stage last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tasha is going to be tough this year. He's been really good. He won a few of the World Championship rounds. He's won a bunch of stages. He's been really fast, but he needs more experience. Obviously, last year he got knocked out early, so he didn't really get that experience. But I think we're going to see him win some stages and definitely be up there.
We don't like to predict favorites. Well, I like to try to make Quinn predict favorites before the race starts, but it never works out that way. But if you had a favorite team, Honda is going to be on the top of that. At least in the contention in the top of that, because of the strength of the team and like just the investment. They got, they have 5 guys on their team. Plus they have a support team now with this RS Moto Honda Sierra 450 RX rally bike that's like a customer version of the bike that you can buy now, or at least start to buy soon. So the investment of HRC Honda seems to be like peaking now in rally, and they're really coming in strong.
Yeah, I mean, I think really what's going to be tough for them is the injuries this year, and having their two, arguably their 2 strongest guys kind of knocked down a peg.
Okay,
that's going to be tough. It's similar to what KTM was dealing with last year, and also is again dealing with this year in some form. So, I think it leaves the door open for some other guys like Ross Branch on the Hero.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously Ross was super strong last year.
Yeah.
He's, on a good bike, a good team. Mm-hmm. He finished second last year, won the world championship this year. So I think he's due. He's due for a really strong finish. As long as he gets through, obviously anything can happen, but
for sure.
He's one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah. Ross and obviously the hero team strong with, Jose Ignacio Cornejo Flamejo. Nacho's there.
Yep.
And Nacho, as far as a teammate go, he's pretty indispensable. He's pretty rad teammate to have because he's proven, over the last 5 years that he can be a teammate that can get to the front and make everybody chase him and nobody's going to catch him when he's navigating on his own. And that's pretty valuable out there when you're trying to protect those time bonuses in your team. Even if your guy's even in the back, you can protect those time bonuses with somebody on your team.
Yeah, Nacho now, obviously he's got a ton of experience. He can lead out.
Yeah.
He's crazy fast in the dunes. He's always been really solid in the dunes. Maybe he hasn't been able to put it all together and all the train, but he's definitely there. And I think, he's going to be strong, and I think he'll be a good support role for Ross.
Yeah, same with Sebastian Bueller, the German rider on the hero team, and then that gives that whole team headed by Wolfgang, your buddy from Germany. They're going to be strong, and Heroes obviously a humongous company, huge business, and they are committed to this, and they won the championship last year, so they have a lot of momentum coming in. Yeah. And it's funny that we're talking about Hero before we're talking about KTM, but that's just how it shook out right now. We didn't do that intentionally. No. But like Ross is defending champion of the series, which was not easy to do. He had to start that by getting second at the Dakar Rally.
World champion. He's running the number one plate. First time for an Indian manufacturer to win a world championship in, I believe, any FIM competition. So that's a huge deal for them. And it's cool to see. I guess you would say almost a small team in a way. It's just a one-off, custom-built bike from Germany.
Yeah.
That is competing at the top level.
Yeah, they're knocking down the big boys. And speaking of the big boys, KTM, they came into this season right now with a lot of question marks. In fact, a month ago, we didn't really know what was going to shake out because we didn't know if the Benavides brothers were healthy enough to race or ride because under behind the scenes, they had some serious accidents and serious injuries between those two.
Massive injuries and for a couple of the guys, really the Benavides brothers. And KTM as a group, obviously streamlining, cutting budgets back. So no Husqvarna, no gas this year. All the factory riders will be on orange. Yep. And it's it's kind of back to the old strategy, right? Like, let's just focus on the brand and focus on trying to win. So Kevin Benavides this year had a massive crash on his home motocross track at his house.
Just training, doing some laps, getting loose, and just putting out motos.
Basically out, just kind of goofing around. His mechanic told me that he kind of doesn't normally. They just come back from a training session. He doesn't normally go out and ride when he's after like a long training session. He just went out to kind of play around on the motocross track, and his brother Luciano found him unconscious on the landing of a jump. Didn't really know how long he'd been there. Nothing like that. They transported him to the hospital. He was in a coma for a couple weeks, medically induced. Just massive nerve damage in his arm, broken arm. They were unsure about traumatic brain injury, what the repercussions were going to be. He'd gone through a ton of rehab. He worked really hard and got himself basically back on the bike this November. And, I was on a test with him just before Thanksgiving, and it was really kind of his first time doing real desert riding. And,
And when did he have the accident? Is it like July?
The accident, I want to say it was like April or May or something. It was pretty early.
Wow. So basically the entire season he was off.
Yeah. So no riding. He's been off the bike for a long time and, back. So again, Kevin's going to have a tough go, like adjusting to the speed again, adjusting to, running this pace. And these are mentally tough, and also, just that grip strength in his left arm is a bit uncertain, right?
Since you were at a test with him and you were doing rally bike testing, I assume, for KTM, what did you see in him? What did you think of his ability to just jump back into this and start riding and doing his Kevin Benavides thing?
I mean, it's pretty incredible, really, what the guy is capable of. I mean, I thought he would be a lot worse off. Yeah. He did a bunch of days of roadbook training and testing, and I went out and, I was helping him find a good test loop for some rocky stuff. And I mean, the guy took off and was just hammering.
Just like Kevin.
Yeah. So, I mean, can he last a whole Dakar? I don't know. Can he last a couple days?
Nobody knows.
Say, but, maybe a conservative strategy may play off better for him this year.
Yeah. And then his brother, Luciano, didn't have a much better scenario recently, right?
No, Luciano had a big crash at Ruta 40 in Argentina, and basically broke I believe the head of his femur off of his, hip.
He broke his leg.
Did
really bad.
Yeah, did a big bad injury. I think pelvis, everything, and so he got screwed together and wired back together, and he was back racing in Morocco. So, and that was only like 2 months later.
That's crazy.
And he was strong in Morocco. I don't remember how he finished, but he was, he was up there.
Yeah, he wasn't off the pace, but he was probably recovering. He was probably in pain, but he wasn't off the pace. That's insane. Coming in healthy for the first time for a while, Daniel Sanders.
Yeah.
On the KTM. And, this guy's due. This guy's hungry. He's looking fit. He doesn't have a mullet anymore. He's got a haircut. Sanders, well, Chucky's coming in as the new Australian in rally. He's taking Toby's price, but he's ready to put the hammer down. What do you think of Chucky in the off season?
I mean, Sanders is, we all know how fast he is.
Yeah.
He's been very vocal about the bike, about,
in the past.
Correct. So KTM,
about like last year and the year before.
Yeah, KTM on a brand new bike this year.
Yeah,
so
big news.
This is something we need to talk about a little bit. New chassis, new engine package, everything brand new. So
I cannot wait to
Sanders
to give me those secrets.
Really happy with the bike.
So a happy Sanders this year, where last year clearly he wasn't happy most of the time with the bike.
No, the last 3 years.
Last 3 years, he's been pissed off at the bike. This year, he's happy with the bike, so that could be dangerous.
For sure. I mean, he's got all the speed in, and he just, he needs to put it together. The guy dominated in Morocco.
Right.
Absolutely dominated.
Right.
So for, the 5-6 days of racing in Morocco, he was unbeatable.
Yeah.
And, hopefully we see the same out of him for this Dakar.
Yeah, he could set the tone early. The racetrack. We'll get into some route stuff right now, or not right now, but soon. And it's going to be interesting how this route is going to be pacing throughout the desert of Saudi Arabia again. This is the 6th time it's in Saudi Arabia, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
I think it's the 6th time, and it's our fifth year. Yeah. So we're syncing up nicely here with Saudi Arabia. So KTM's there. There's no other KTM teams. There's no Husqvarna team. There's no Gas
You missed
team.
one guy.
I did miss one guy. A new guy, though.
Yes.
And tell me about the young kid that just jumped on the KTM factory team.
So this is quite a actually interesting one. Is a young man called Edgar Canet from Spain. Really fast moto rider, has transitioned into rally over the last year or so. He's kind of a I guess prodigy of Jordi Villadome's. So Jordi has brought him up and taught him navigation. He was originally due to be on the Bass KTM team in Rally 2.
Yep.
As a support role and kind of like bring him along. And then just a couple of weeks ago, they dropped that he's on full factory team, factory bike, everything. So full Red Bull KTM deal. I don't know what changed when I was with them in November at the test, they were, Edgar was there. He was roadbook training. He was going faster than a lot of the current guys. I mean, given it's training and, he's 19. So, but in my conversations with him, he seems like he has a good head on his shoulders. He knows he has a long time to develop.
That's good.
He knows no one's going to expect anything out of him at 19, 20 years old. Right?
He doesn't feel like he has to go out and like win right away and set the pace and like set the world on fire.
So he can be 5 Dakars in, and then start winning. And that's his mindset. So which I found pretty promising because
it's refreshing.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, okay. A 19-year-old kid will tell you that to your face. And then as soon as the
just
green
hammer
flag,
down with it.
Yeah. They're flat out. Yeah. Right. So we'll see. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. A little bit of a risk on KTM's part, but I mean, I think it shows kind of their commitment to the future is like, you have to take a young guy and develop him.
Yeah.
And so, they know, okay, the Benavidez brothers are probably going to be stepping out of it in the next couple of years. Sanders is kind of the team leader.
Yep.
We have a young guy bringing him along, and he's going to take over in the next few years.
It's interesting. It came out of nowhere that he got signed up, and I got the press releases in the Cycle News inbox, and I was like, well, now there's a surprise I didn't see coming. I thought we were shrinking our racing program down to 1 team and 3 guys, and it's going to be all efficient and back to the old days. And then they're signing people. Always aggressive, those guys.
I mean, you're already there with the truck. You already
there.
have the guy.
In that case, I should get a ride. If they're already there with the truck, I can go ride around in the desert.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be dark when I get back, and they're going to have another truck for me.
Yeah.
To pick me up.
It might cost more money.
I would definitely cost them money. So we've done Honda, we've done Hero, we've done KTM. Next team's up. Cove is back. The Chinese Wonder Kids on Cove's back.
Yes.
And they got more people on bikes this year. Our boy Mason Klein's giving them another go.
Yeah.
What is your prediction? Last year you predicted behind the scenes, I don't think you made it public, that Mason was going to be out on day 3 because you just didn't think that the bike could hold up to Mason's abuse and speed. And you were right. He went out on day 3.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe he struggled along a little bit longer, but
he started struggling.
He started struggling pretty early. And I mean, I don't know what they've been doing behind the scenes.
Yeah. Nobody knows. They just come out of nowhere every time.
I don't see any evidence that they have done a whole lot. Mason has not been riding the bike all year. Mason's been, racing for a Brazilian Honda team down in Brazil, doing rally down there, which is much different than FIM rally and desert rally.
Yeah.
So it's more of a road race type thing.
Yeah.
He hasn't been developing the bike with them.
Sure.
So whatever they've been doing in China, I assume, is with riders that are probably not to Mason's level.
Right.
I've heard the bike's good. I heard the chassis is good, but I think the big question mark again is just going to be like durability, experience, and all these little things.
Yeah. And speed over the course of the race, if the bike's going to maintain that speed those are the questions on everybody's bikes. So, but it's cool that they're investing in Mason and coming into the race and trying to give it another go. Like they're passionate. I loved their updates last year. First of all, their in-house guy is so good, and I can't wait to see those videos again from them and their whole race team. I love it.
I mean, it's an expensive way to do development to come and race the Dakar Rally with a top level racer.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah.
From my experience, right, working with KTM, I've helped to develop this new bike, and we've done over 200 hours of durability testing on this new bike with some of the fastest riders in the world, hammering a clapped out test loop that they knew every inch of.
Just beating it down.
Just beating the thing to death, and in every aspect, right? Just rotating riders every hour, so that there's never a lack of speed. And you see the lengths that KTM goes to when they develop a new bike, and then what are they doing in China with this bike? Like it doesn't look a whole lot different than it did last year.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
We're gonna see very soon. We're gonna see in like 8 hours.
Mason will put it to the test,
Yeah.
He may go out and he may win a stage or two, but I just got a feeling that it's just not going to be, I would be pretty shocked if it's problem free, solid all the way to the end of the race.
We're going to call that a happy welcome surprise if that happens.
Yes.
Well, that's good. I hope it does happen. I hope that Cove bike proves us all wrong. That would be an awesome story.
It would be cool.
It would be cool. Sherco's back again this year with a pretty strong team. They got, they have Rui Concalves still. They have Harith Noah, who is the top finishing Indian athlete.
And defending Rally 2
Rally 2 champion. He's going to be racing in the Rally 2 category again. And they have Lorenzo Santolino, I think is how you pronounce his name. One of my favorite names to say in this podcast.
Yeah.
I love it. And Sherco's, French company, French team, French race, French people everywhere. Don't count out the Sherco guys. Put in some stuff.
Yeah. They'll be up there for sure.
That's kind of it for for manufacturer-based teams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of it.
And then, you kind of start dropping into the, Malimoto guys, Rally 2 guys.
Yeah.
I don't see many Americans in the Malimoto.
Right.
We have Jake Augubright on the, in the Rally 2 class on that RS Moto Honda kind of
program,
the kit or customer bike for Honda. So, that's cool. It'll be fun to watch Jake. I think this is his third?
Yeah,
Dakar,
something like that.
So, it'll be fun to watch him. Maybe hear some updates from Jake.
Yep. We're going to get a hold of Jake. He's kind of got the call to go race pretty late. Like I think it was November, December, where they're like, yeah, come race. And he's like, okay, I'll figure out how to make some money, raise some money and get over there. So, it's how it is always with Dakars. Half the battle or more of the half the battle is just getting to the start line, right?
Yeah, for sure. When you're on the privateer level like that, that's the big battle is just raising money. And maybe it gets a little bit easier every year. You have a little bit more support, or you can find money a little easier. And he's there again.
For sure. Very cool. Well, the rally route this year is not going to be easy. It's going to be almost 8,000 kilometers of total, which is a long ways. I think 5,000 timed special or something ridiculous this year.
Yeah. So I think that basically the route is 1,000 kilometers shorter than it was last year, but there's 1,000 kilometers more special stage. So
just less commuting to work,
basically,
but more work.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God.
Less liaison, less transfer stage, more race stage.
Yeah. Officially more than 5,000 kilometers in special. So that's, that's 2,500 miles plus. That's almost 3,000 miles of racing. Mm-hmm. That's a lot. That's a lot of racing.
Yeah. And, again, the ASO is kind of turning the screws on everybody right away because we're going into one of these 48-hour cryo stages, chrono stages. Excuse me, I call them cryo, but
you're going to be
freezing.
They are freezing them. They're freezing them out there. They're icing them. The 48-hour chrono stage, if you remember, it was introduced last year. Basically, they start the clock time at 5 p.m. in the afternoon when everybody's racing. The clock stops. You have X amount of time to get to the next bivouac on the stage. There's multiple bivouacs set up out on the course. Wherever you are, timing-wise, in your race day, however all that crap is shaken out, you could be at the front end, getting into the time, getting into the furthest along bivouac, or if you had a challenge and you got tire issues, or you're taking the cylinder head off your bike and putting it back on, you could be at the very first one and you're going to be starting behind the next day. Also, it introduces service on the bikes like you would at your regular mechanic. They're not tearing down the bikes and servicing the suspension every night and all this kind of stuff.
And I mean, this is early in the race, so in stage 2 you're still kind of working out the bugs, right?
Yeah, this is starting on stage 2 this year, not 4 or 5 days into the race.
No, and you're trying to figure things out. Like there's stuff that the mechanics are still kind of working on, and it's a little bit of a work in progress. And so you go into that stage 2, you don't really have you don't have a mechanic at all. You've got you and your competitors and whatever parts you can carry.
Yeah.
They're eating these MREs and canned fish. Pate and all this weird stuff in the desert. I saw the KTM guys had some like MRE type meals that
they're stacking
carry.
Their own. They're going to pack their own pack of sardines in the back of their rally vest.
But I mean, in the end, you're sleeping in a tent in the middle of the sand dunes or somewhere in the middle of the desert, and you got to get up and race in the morning. And this is this is almost 1,000 kilometer special stage broken into 2 days.
Yeah, that's horrible. It's 967 kilometers of special test and 1,000 more kilometers of, navigating your way to the special test. So that's going to be tough. And that's on stage 2. And that's on day 3 and 4, basically.
Yeah, so something to look forward to for sure.
It's going to be exciting. And then not far after that is going to be, the marathon stage, which has basically the same sort of aspect to it where, hey, you're going to be racing all day. You're going to get back. And it's more like an ISDE style pit stop. You're going to roll in with your bike. And if you're, a competitor on a bike, you're going to have an hour and a half to work on your bike. That's it. Then shut the door. And then you basically go to bed and get up the next day and race again.
Yeah. And the difference between the chrono stage and the marathon stage is that the marathon stage is 2 separate stages where the chrono stage is 1 stage that they stop in the middle of. So marathon stage, they'll be in a bivouac somewhere. They might put up a tent for everybody to kind of sleep on the floor, but they're still going to be sleeping in big groups and, big fat truck drivers are going to be snoring next to them. And, it's, these aren't easy stages and you don't get to see your mechanic. So that's twice in the first week that they're, basically away from mechanics.
Yeah.
And, the factory guys go into these pretty well prepared, but it's a lot of the more privateer guys, the Rally 2 guys, marathon guys is kind of normal, like whatever. But, it kind of goes back to the old joke is that, the ASO likes to turn the screws on everybody the first week. So because that's less people they have to feed.
Yeah.
Once they put them out of the race. So I think that's where they're kind of back into the French thing. They're going to save a little money on food by putting, a quarter of the race out in the first 4 days.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a brutal beginning to this race. The first until rest day. Rest day's on, I think, like in between stage.
It's after stage 5.
Yeah, it's after stage 5, and there's 12 stages, so it's fairly, right in the middle.
Yeah, they finish the marathon stage, and then they're into the rest day. So if they make it through the marathon stage,
right, got it,
then they're on to their rest day.
Yeah, and then the race really starts happening, as everybody else will tell you. But they're not. They're kind of in the rocky, harder terrain portion of the country around Baja, where they kind of set up.
Yep.
It's not the wide open scenic dunes with the dry lake beds where they're navigating dunes for 500K a day. It's going to be tighter, trickier navigation. You're not going to be able to get on a dune and see somebody up there and say, like, I'll just head that way. It's going to be like all those roads converging and
lots of canyons,
different angles and canyons.
Lots of rocky stuff, and this is going to play into different guys' strengths, and like we've seen, obviously Brabec is really strong in this kind of stuff. Mason Klein rides this stuff really well. The American guys tend to be really good in the rocks. I think Sanders is going to be really strong in this area, to where some of the other guys are maybe more sand specialists. So the second week, when they start dropping to the more like southeastern side of the country and get into the sand, then some of those other guys are going to be, possibly moving forward, but will it be too late?
Who knows? The tricky part about the first part of the week, and I'll put a map up so you guys can kind of see what we're talking about. The stuff around Baja, this is, the first 3 or 4 days here on the western side of the country and southwest to be specific. And then they move up to that marathon stage up in the top, northwest part of the country. All of that stuff on that left-hand side of that country isn't the big dunes. There are sections of big dunes for sure, but when you get way to the far right, towards the second half of the race, that's where those big epic dune stages are going to come into play. And it's just like something they have to look forward to, but they got to get through all this harder terrain stuff first.
Yeah, I mean that the whole southeastern side of the country is the empty quarter. Yeah. So there's nothing out there but sand dunes. Where the northwestern side is more rocky and stony, and that's where we see the images of the big canyons and boulder
all the
fields.
Roads converging, and you're like, pick one, and they're like half a degree off, and you got to be on the right.
And that's where the hard navigation is. Yeah, really. When you're on tracks and you're in canyons and stuff, and you pick the wrong canyon, you can lose an hour. And when you're in the dunes, you're going on a compass heading, and you can be a few degrees off, but there's usually a waypoint on the other end to catch you. And so dunes are hard to ride, but they're not that hard to navigate.
Yeah, unless you're in the front, then it's really hard.
Well, it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Because, you don't have any tracks to follow, right? So you got to be the guy who finds all the blind drops and, ditches and holes and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully don't fall in those holes.
No.
Who else is on your radar this year that you're excited to watch race?
I mean, obviously I'm super excited with Sanders.
Yeah.
Okay. I think, he's going to be the toughest one because he's got experiences. He's in 5 Dakars. He's healthy and he's happy with the bike,
and he's gritty. He's tough.
Yeah. When a guy like that's happy, it's hard to beat him.
It's dangerous. Yeah. Sanders is good. I'm looking forward to I just feel like the Honda team's so strong, and this could be my blind benevolence and ignorance of the injuries that Ricky and Skyler certainly still dealing with. But that team, if they can get through the first 4 or 5 days without losing anybody, it's going to be tough to beat that team, in my opinion.
I mean, they're a strong team. I don't think they're as strong as they were last year. I mean, last year they were absolutely dominant.
Yeah,
but
it's true. They were.
I mean, with Ricky's injury, with Skyler's injury, Van Beveren's getting older, Quintanilla's older.
Yeah.
Sharina is young and wild.
Yeah.
We'll kind of see. He's the question mark. I mean, he could win this whole thing.
Sure.
He's kind of the Daniel Sanders of maybe 3-4 years ago.
It's Daniel Sanders of Honda.
Mm-hmm.
It's Honda Sanders.
So.
All right. Well, I'm not going to count out Hero and Ross, of course. I think Ross is going to be there every day, and he's smart and savvy and crafty racer, and he's got the positive vibes that'll just carry him through anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I love watching Ross and listening to Ross, and
he's awesome.
I think he could win it all. He's one of those guys that,
he hasn't slowed down, man.
Nope.
Got to give it to Ross. He hasn't slowed down ever. He's smarter and faster than ever.
He is good in the rocks and stuff. I mean, you saw last year he won a stage by a long ways right off the bat and led pretty much the whole first half of the race. So,
and that's going to continue to be a strategy that people are going to take. That time bonus, getting to the front of this race and gathering those time bonuses versus history where the time bonus doesn't exist. You get those stage time bonuses at the beginning of those stages. They add up and they make a big difference. They add minutes to your race, and
for sure,
and minutes have decided this race.
And they've tried kind of a sliding scale to make more difficult navigation stages more rewarding, and less difficult stages less rewarding. And I still haven't seen the breakdown on the time bonuses and where everything is, but you might be able to look into that a little closer and see what the organization's expecting.
Yeah.
Right. Are they giving a lot of bonuses for opening? Or are they giving a little bonus for opening? Is that like an indicator to how hard the navigation is going to be on the stage?
Right.
So it's all these things that these guys are going to have to play as far as strategy.
And we get to talk about every day.
Yes.
Every morning.
So, I mean, I think there's a couple ways that this can go, right? You can have the fast guys, the Sanders and the Sharinas.
Assert dominance on the field and try to stay up front.
Yeah, the Brabecs of last year.
Yeah.
Maybe Ricky's just uncorks it this year and puts his time on early. Like we don't know what we're going to see from him. It's a little bit of a mystery. But if those guys get out early and then they can just kind of maintain through the dunes, it'll be really interesting. So you have that strategy of like the fast guys going out and winning, or you have the strategy of the more conservative older guys hanging back, letting people go out, hurt themselves,
just being there,
bike failures, whatnot. Right. Like that's one thing for certain is someone's going to crash out of this rally.
Yeah. Unfortunately, somebody's going to
more than one, most likely.
Yeah. That's true.
These guys that we're talking about. And, sometimes it happens on the prologue, right?
I know. It's coming up quick, the prologue.
We saw a few guys last year go out and try to uncork it on the prologue and blow it. So
don't do that, guys. Don't do that for us. We want to watch this race go down to the wire with a bunch of people in it.
Yes.
Make it exciting. Well, we're excited to keep rolling here at the Dakar Rally studio. Shout out #1 to Climb coming on board as our title sponsor. Once again, they've been here every year for us. Climb is, always innovating in the motorcycle world and snowmobile world. If you're in a place that has snow in the Rocky Mountain West, they just got dumped on, you know how great that product is for that. But they're launching a bunch of new adventure stuff this year. So check out Climb's, website. Follow them on Climb Motorcycle YouTube and Climb Motorcycle Instagram account. They're really trying to build those up with motorcycle specific content, and they're producing some really cool stuff. Tolga and Lucas just finished Ride to the End video series on their YouTube channel. It's really entertaining watching those guys just ride adventure bikes, through South America and getting all kinds of shenanigans and nonsense. One's on a brand new Ducati Desert X, and Lucas brought his 10-year-old 990 Baja Rally, which I tested both of those. So if you want to go to Cycle News YouTube, you can check that out. Our presenting sponsors this year, again, Rally Navigator, the best hands down navigation software for you to build FIM level rally road books. You can use it to plan your own rides, just if you and your buddies want to share routes and build a road book for yourself, or just use the map system in there for building routes. It's amazing. It's the best software system ever developed to build navigation. Am I right?
Yes, I've been using Rally Navigator for years, and now
we talk about it every year, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. The new desktop version is amazing, and you can really hone in. You can drop waypoints. You could really build a road book just like a Dakar Rally road book.
It's exactly the same, literally.
And you know what? This is something also we completely forgot to talk about.
That's
fine, I'm going to bring this up right now.
Oh yeah, good idea. This ties in with Rally Navigator.
Digital road books.
Digital road books.
Everyone is on digital road books this year.
Yes,
last year the elite guys, had the option to stay with paper.
Yep.
Most of them did.
Yep.
A few of the Rally 2 and privateer guys ran the digital.
Correct.
and it worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Now it's a requirement. So
everybody's digital.
Everyone's on digital, pre-marked road books. You don't really have a way to mark the road book. It's this ruggedized tablet that mounts to the navigation tower. They can scroll back and forth.
This is a big step, because the traditional paper loading and doing your homework and marking your route, like that's the history of the rally that's now gone. You have to use the road book that's marked by the organization. You have to trust their marking and the person that's marking it to give you the information. Pros and cons. I know you've been involved in it a bit. Have you seen it a little bit? I've talked to Jake Argerbright before he took off, and he said, yeah, it's okay, but there's still some challenges and stuff.
Yeah.
With him.
I mean, I think the biggest difficulty is the glare and
just like anything
you're trying to read your phone outdoors, right? It's just like an iPhone screen. You're gonna have a weird glare at certain sun angles, and that's the biggest challenge for the guys. I think everything else is probably better.
Yeah.
We've seen this evolve over the last several years where, in the old days, they would give you the road book the night before. When you come into the bivouac, they give you sometimes 20 pages of modifications.
Yeah.
You had to go in there and cut
and paste,
sections out,
tape it,
glue stuff in, tape stuff in, highlight it. You would spend some nights you'd spend 4 hours working on your road book.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, they started just handing out the road book in the morning, and you got 10 minutes to go through and load it and mark it. And what that did is it saved guys a lot of time at night, to kind of prepare. And it almost made the race a little bit more of a sprint, right? Because you're now preparing your body, you're relaxing, they got physios and all this stuff, right? You're not just sitting there working on your road book.
So they're recovering more every day physically.
But you have less time to prepare mentally for the navigation. And the marking of the book. And so now with digital, literally you show up at the start of the stage, they enter a code, and boom, there's your road book on your tablet. So you really have no time to look at it before.
Wow.
You can scroll through a little bit, I think, but
see like the first page.
I don't really think there's much of a way to mark anything. It just kind of straight away.
Hopefully that works flawlessly for everybody, and there's no glitch without, uploading and that kind of stuff. I'm sure there are going to be some growing pains still as it gets massively implemented across the field.
I know it is
different.
There's some issues with being able to turn it off. You have to make sure to turn it off so you don't kill the battery.
Sure.
The thing, it's powered off the bike battery, but if you let it sit overnight, it'll kill the battery, and then it may take a while to reboot and whatnot. So
crazy.
If you lose power, that can be an issue to where, with a paper road book, literally you could pull the thing out and manually read it if you needed to.
You could have it in your pocket and take a look at it if you had to.
Yeah. So no backup. The backup is following another guy at this point.
For sure. Well, thank you to Rally Navigator for building a system for anybody to go in.
And yeah, the Rally Navigators roadbooks also come in a PDF format. So if you have one of these tablets or a similar tablet, you can mount it to your bike and go straight away, without ever having to print anything.
And like barrier to entry in the sport is coming down. Like you can get a tablet, you can get a Bluetooth switch for that tablet. So you don't have to have this complicated wiring and mechanical paper rolling system, navigation tower to buy. And yeah, that's great. We want more people to race rally, right?
It's getting nerdier.
It's getting nerdier and it's getting closer to the more people can do it. And that's the goal of this
as long as you're a nerd, you can do it.
As long as you're a nerd and you have a little bit of dispensable income, you can race rally. Speaking of racing rally, our next presenting sponsor, co-presenting sponsor with Rally Navigator is the Baja Rally, which is pretty close to us because we're in Southern California. Baja Rally right now, registration is open. You can go to Rally Navigator, start practicing roadbooks. You can buy a bike, slap a digital roadbook on it, go down there, race rally.
Yeah,
do it.
Is. Baja Rally, I think 2025 dates are end of September through October?
Yep, end of September through the first week of October, 28th through the 4th.
There it is right there.
There it is right there. Look at
through
that.
October 4th. So entries are open now. You can sign up for Baja Rally, see some of the coolest stuff down in Baja.
Definitely. Very cool.
I have always been kind of positive for this kind of event in Baja because you have the opportunity to race a lot of terrain that you don't normally get to race if you were to sign up for a, Baja 1000 or Baja 500 because, there's a lot of private land down there and they don't want trucks and, cars and stuff pre-running through their ranches, for 3 weeks. And they're just not going to open this terrain. But if, these ranchers, you say, hey, the race can come through. It's one day, no pre-running. It opens up a lot of terrain. They're in and out, they're gone. And it makes a lot more riding accessible down there. So you get to see a lot of cool stuff that you wouldn't normally get to see.
And it's higher quality racing for someone in a rally mindset than, hey, I want to race rally, but the only thing I can do is a Baja 1000. Yeah. Like, that's not the same thing. That's totally different worlds.
Trophy truck whoops.
Trophy truck whoops. Yeah, exactly.
Giant boulders.
Awesome in its own way. No hate on the Baja 1000 experience, even though I have somebody here that's won it a few times. But like races like the Baja Rally, they're going to give you the rally experience where you get to navigate, you ride at whatever pace you want to while you're navigating and, get to the finish line and do that stuff. So kudos to them. Also, Moto Minded, thank you so much for coming on board. Again, Moto Minded makes epic stuff for your bike. Anything you want from switches and headlight kits. And, they even make a rally navigation tower you can bolt onto your bike there. So check out motominded.com. The Nora Mexican 1000 is coming on board, another rally in Mexico. That's pretty cool. We're going to have our boy Jimmy Lewis jump on the call someday soon and talk about Nora Mexican 1000. Double take mirror. We got more people coming on board. We're always really late at asking people for sponsorships or even deciding if we're going to do the show every year because, Christmas is in the way.
It was still in question up till this morning.
Up till yesterday. We're like, I don't know. But so thank you everybody that's texting us. I just got another text today about, hey, are you doing the show? When are you going to do the show? And everybody reaching out on Instagram and emailing us. We love it. We are here. We are back. We're going to be here every day.
And the other, unfortunately this year we've decided to take a break on the Dakar Rally Fantasy Derby.
We didn't. Brabec retired.
Well, yeah.
And we can't do it without him because he's the brains of the outfit.
Yeah, and
he's a professional hard enduro racer on his 890 now. He doesn't have time to make databases.
And he's done this for free for the last couple of years. And in the end, it was always just a fun thing. Yeah. We never, there was no money involved in any way. It was
We're going to try to get, we'll try to find some more fantasy options for you, or you can just send me your predictions through Instagram at Dakar Rally Daily.
Could do that.
And we'll call you out when you're wrong. Just like this guy calls me out every time I'm wrong.
Yep. Send us your predictions for the Prologue tomorrow.
Prologue race coming up tomorrow. It's going to be short and sweet and fast, but it's got some stuff on the line because I think the top 10 guys get to pick their starting order for day one.
Yeah.
And remember, I think Mason got to pick his starting order and he picked first last year, which was exciting. And everybody was like, well, maybe we'll eat our words. That wasn't a bad idea. And he almost did make them eat their words.
Yeah, he did for a minute there.
Came in hot.
Yep. So I don't know who you got for the Prologue tomorrow, Jesse.
I think. What about the new KTM guy, the 19-year-old? He's going to do everything you said he's not going to do, and he's just going to go out and hammer. I can't even remember his name.
It's a good wild prediction. This is Edgar Canet.
Edgar Canet. Yeah, Okay, I'll remember his name now.
Edgar could very well go out and come out swinging.
Knock down a Prologue win. I think Tosh is dangerous in the Prologue. He's done that before. I don't think our top contender guys are going to risk the Prologue time to put down a serious time. I don't think anybody we talked about, from Ricky to Ross to Daniel, I don't think they're going to put a...
I think Sanders is going to go try to win. I think it'll probably come down between him and Sharina for the overall, but you can't count out Ross Branch either. He's got some pretty amazing sprint speeds, and I think none of these guys want to lead into stage one. Like nobody does, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
Unless you're Mason Klein.
Thank you, Mason, for being you. And you didn't answer our phone call earlier, but we hope that your phone starts picking up.
Yeah, we're going to keep bugging Mason until he answers.
Yeah, definitely. We also have Gary from Cove USA embedded into the Cove infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, so we're going to try to get him to be our Cove correspondent.
Yep.
We got some other people we're going to try to loop into working for us too.
Johnny Campbell's over there. He's kind of managing Ricky Brabec and that motorhome. So we're going to keep bugging Johnny.
Yes,
all the KTM boys. We're gonna harass them, try to get them on the line.
Turn your phones on.
Yep. You boys better answer.
What else do we need to talk about before we get to Prologue tomorrow morning? We talked about a lot.
Yeah, we did. I think we're good. I mean,
let's go.
Let's do it. I'm excited for this thing.
Yeah, finally. Me too. Climb Dakar Rally Daily is coming to you live. If you've got any questions, specific questions you want us to ask people, or if you've got any questions about rally for us, you can leave us comments on YouTube. Cycle News is YouTube. This is going to be live there. You can send us comments to Dakar Rally Daily Instagram. That's probably the fastest way to get a hold of us, either of those options.
Yep.
We'll even call you out. We'll read your comments live on air. You can even do Q&A. Like if you want to send us a question that I can ask Quinn or somebody smart, send it. Send it to me. I'll ask it.
Hey, the other thing we get this year is there's going to be a 1 hour show on NBC Sports.
Oh yeah, we got to call out the NBC
stepping it up.
For stepping it up.
Yep, stepping it up from 30 minutes to 1 hour. So it's going to be cool. We'll get some good images. I think it'll be on Peacock and NBC Sports. However you watch all that.
Cool
stuff.
Good job, NBC.
Yeah.
You're welcome for the inspiration. I'm sure we had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. We will be back with our normal well-oiled machine tomorrow morning, bright and early.
All right.
See you later.
Out.
Recording.
Okay, we'll see if this works. We're going to randomly cold call Mason Klein.
Starting the year off right with a random cold call to Saudi Arabia.
This is what everybody wants to hear about. He's not going to answer, but...
God, I hope he answers. It's 9 o'clock at night before the race. Maybe his dad will answer.
You can talk to Larry.
He's
probably scared.
He's probably like, why is Quinn Cody calling me? What does Quinn Cody know? Why is he calling me?
He's probably working on the engine.
Oh, not already. I think we failed.
He's going to red button us. It's worth a shot.
Thanks for
now. We're going to just do nothing but talk trash about Mason the whole rest of the show.
Yeah. Everybody in Saudi Arabia, you have two choices. One, you can answer our call, or we can just say whatever we want about you.
Sounds fair.
Sounds fair. All right, back to our regular scheduled broadcasting.